Happy Monday, Notre Dame fans. Mike Singer and Mike Goolsby live on the Blue and Gold YouTube channel. It is this week's Mike Goolsby show. Thank you all for tuning in, watching live, watching back, listening via podcast, whatever the case may be. We're a day late, but not $1 short, Mike, for the Goolsby show this week. We had to move back a day. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Mike, how's your Monday, man? I like your shirt.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, day late, $1 short. That's my fault, folks. I was had our annual guys trip. You know, some Notre Dame classmates of mine, we get together. So I was kind of traveling back and semi-recovering from the weekend at the same time.
Yeah.
So I didn't get a chance to watch the game back or get into the all-22. But no, good to be here, brother. Good to be here.
You did lose the cord.
Talk about, or maybe not. We'll see.
I noticed you lost the cord, Mike.
I did. When you get to the point where folks are sending you, hey, real quick, shout out to my buddy Mike Donnelly.
Shout out, Mike.
Shout out to Big Don's. But no, Mike, via Twitter, I got people sending me Amazon links for like widgets to hide cords in your wall. I'm like, all right, I got to do this. It's been long enough.
Good deal. All right, let's start quickly.
Singer.
We lost me? Really?
But anyway.
Shit.
Well,
you got me back?
I see you.
I don't know what happened there.
Your new camera's a mixed bag. You look gorgeous. You look stunning. You're glowing. It's like you look like the pregnant one, not your wife. But it's a little glitchy.
Well, you upgraded your setup. I had to do the same as well, Mr. Goolsby. Folks, please hit the thumbs up on this YouTube video. Of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content. Go to blueandgold.com for more Notre Dame football and Fighting Irish coverage. Seriously, go on the board. Goolsby was just posting on the board today. I always love to see Mike Goolsby pop in threads. But Gools, let's start. This show, Mike, we like to talk about not just, okay, here's the game, but what the game means. Right? We kind of like what does it mean moving forward? But let's at least just start with this game itself, Mike, because the line opened. I think it was like Notre Dame minus 15 before the NIU game, and then after the NIU game, it dropped to like 10.5.
Yep.
And then before kickoff, it's like 7.5. Like, what the heck? So, I mean, a lot of people thought this was going to be a real close game, and the Notre Dame beats them by 59.
Yeah.
Were you shocked?
And they were coming off of a bye, mind you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is the largest beatdown in Purdue football history, not just this matchup here. Yeah, I was a little surprised. I was a little bit surprised. But after our first offensive series, I really wasn't tweeting. I was kind of watching the game with buddies. And I'm like, man, there's one thing I know for certain really kind of coming out of that game is Purdue is awful.
Yeah.
Awful. Like that first drive, I was like, whoa, these guys are bad. I have never seen, and I really mean this, I don't know if I've ever seen a defense tackle so poorly. It was incredible. It felt like you're not a big movie guy, but like in some of these football movies, like the slow motion run, the program, he's pointing out blockers, like tacklers are just falling off. It felt like you're watching, like the Purdue defenders were an extra in a movie. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, I loved your tweet here. I saved this one. Thus far, all I know for certain is that Purdue sucks. Truly, I mean, talking heads like to say, well, was it more of this team won or the other team lost? As good as Notre Dame was, Purdue was terrible. I mean, even their All-American safety was missing tackles left and right. It was pretty bad.
We're going to pontificate. And what does this game mean? What did we learn, if anything? It was like, and again, it was two halves because like your starters got the run the first half, and then a guy like me and you covered all these guys in the recruiting singer. It's fun to watch some of these young bucks take the field, and you kind of get to parse out who you like, who kind of flashed. So that was fun, especially on the rewatch.
Sure.
But it's just nice to get a little bit of like validation where it's like we all kind of believed in Jeremiah Love, and the more carries and the more touches you see him get, you're like, boy, is he special.
Yeah. Strong game for him.
Yeah. I mean, he's a different type of player out there.
31 is an All-American, John Massey. He was a freshman All-American last year, and I think he was like third team, like All American, not just freshman.
Yeah,
All
but famously singer.
Yeah.
Famously singer, so was Cade Madden. Blast from the past.
Well, it's not a good rental season for him at Notre Dame, huh?
Yeah, but they were so bad. And I'll say this too, watching the game, in particular on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, we were flying around. I mean, it was a totally different energy level, excitement level, effort level than what you saw the week prior against Northern Illinois. So that was really refreshing to see, just guys really flying around on the defensive side, a lot of gang tackling. Their play was pretty electric, especially really to start the game. And then, Jeremiah Love, and then what to make of the offense. I mean, that's why we're here. That's what everybody wants to talk about.
Real quick, Mike, your experience playing against Purdue, I believe you did 3 or 4 times. What was the rivalry like for you?
It was a real rivalry. And they had great quarterback play. We played Drew Brees. I wasn't a starter yet, but then I think we beat Purdue my junior year. I had a great game. It was my second start ever. Really fun game, really hot. Back before you rotated every other series. And then senior year, my 5th year, we lost.
Big loss.
And it was like early in the game, we had them backed up. And then Taylor Stubblefield, who at the time may still hold the record, most career receptions, yardage, NCAA. This is back when Purdue would just throw. They just air it out. I mean, we're backed up on the 5-yard line. They got 95 yards to go, and he catches a 95-yard touchdown route, and he's given the Boilermaker as he's running down the field. I mean, they smoked us.
Yeah. This is really not what we do in the show, go down memory lane too much, but just reading the Wikipedia on this, the Boilermakers notched their first win at Notre Dame Stadium since 1974, despite the efforts of Brady Quinn, who set a stadium record by passing for 432 yards because they were playing from behind the entire game. That's per Wikipedia on the game.
Wow.
Billy, appreciate the $5 super chat.
We didn't throw for 430 on Saturday, Singer.
All right, let's go there. Do you want to go to the press conference?
Yeah, so I just think it's fun to, and this is what John and I like to do this, a lot of pontification. So it's I have my opinion. I generally understand where you kind of tend to land on most things.
Okay.
But what do fans think Freeman wants? What do fans think Riley Leonard's capable of? But Riley Leonard was asked, as you tee this up, Singer, Riley was asked in the postgame presser, about Denbrock or what have you. And then I'll set it up. But Riley's like, Coach Denbrock and I met multiple times this week to get a better understanding of one another, and particularly what I'm comfortable with. So you can go ahead and play this.
Yeah.
But there's a couple things that really grabbed me and kind of jumped out that I hadn't heard anybody else talk about.
Give me a thumbs up if you can hear it on your end, and then and in the chat if you guys can hear it as well. All right, here we go.
I think the biggest thing is, he all week just constantly reminded me that, I trust you. I got all the confidence in you. Like today before the game, he sent me a Bible verse. Those little things can go a long way in a player-coach relationship. I think that we sat down multiple times, and I was open with him. What plays do I love? What plays they got to go? If you call that, I'm running it or something. So, just being honest with each other, just being vulnerable.
So, and you could replay it, but he said, if you call that, I'm running it or something. I'm running it. I'm taking off. I thought that was really interesting. Here's what I want you to call, Coach. And this is the nuance of football. Mike Denbrock's got his scheme, but if you've got your quarterback saying, I'm only comfortable with these concepts, or I'm running it or something. Am I insane, or did that jump out at you?
One more time.
I think the biggest thing is, he all week just constantly reminded me that, I trust you. I got all the confidence in you. Like today before the game, he sent me a Bible verse. Those little things can go a long way in a player-coach relationship. I think that we sat down multiple times, and I was open with him. What plays do I love? What plays they got to go? If you call that, I'm running it or something.
And that was kind of maybe a slip of the tongue or whatever. But then can we just pause for a second? Because this is what we all want, this answer. And maybe we never get it in terms of like skill sets. What are the flaws in the team? What are the weaknesses? Is it wide receiver? Is it O-line? Is it the quarterback who's still raw at the position? Been saying it for months and months. You got an athlete playing quarterback. He needs a lot of polish, missed spring ball. We all understand this. But then I'm going to give Horka a shout out, Tyler Horka. And I texted this to you earlier today. Somebody asked Coach Freeman at a presser, Riley Leonard had thrown for 3,000 yards at Duke. He's on pace to throw for like roughly half that. And Freeman responded, if we need to throw it to have success, I'm sure we'll game plan in a way to throw it. We're not looking for stats. We're not looking for how much we run it versus how much we throw it. We're looking for success. So if we need to game plan in a way to throw it, basically we'll do it. So it's not in the game plan. Or am I making stuff up? Because when I'm trying to get to the bottom of this, I'm like, you see the play on the field. There are open wide receivers. Now that you've got access to the all-22, there are wide open receivers. But it's like, is he being, like I was saying last week, is he being sort of handcuffed by the head coach saying just play within yourself, etc.? There's a lot going on, Singer.
I don't know. Some of this stuff just doesn't make sense.
Right? That's what I'm saying. It doesn't make sense. You got to have everybody, the head coach, the quarterback, the offensive coordinator, everybody's got to be on the same page. It's really interesting. Yeah. And then I just want to keep going. So I'm like, these are my notes in my phone.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Freeman doesn't want to throw the ball. And I don't think Riley's necessarily comfortable with it. But then it's like, why did you go out and get this quarterback in particular? And like, is it because of the offensive line? We're not super comfortable throwing the ball. Is it because he's still raw at the position, lack of experience in Denbrock's system? And fans, why are fans upset, right? Is it unrealistic that we're not going to win playoff games without throwing the ball? Is it because the wide receivers were propped up all offseason? And then the last thought is like, if we're going to play this offense stylistically, and Riley Leonard's like, is he injury prone, Singer? Is that too strong? But he's been nicked up. He's currently nicked up. And it's like, man, we are on thin ice if this is the plan, like going into a Louisville game.
Two quick thoughts. One, on this whole Freeman quote and the Leonard quote, what to make of it. Maybe we are reading too much into it, and it's just guys who are just saying things, and I don't know. Maybe. Freeman in his pressers can be he's not the most polished, and Leonard definitely isn't. So maybe there's part of it to that. And the other thing is, it doesn't seem to take a rocket scientist. This is coming from just a normal old average Joe like me, but it doesn't seem like it takes a rocket scientist to figure out how to stop Notre Dame's defense. Right? They're not throwing it deep. The quarterback doesn't even look deep. When he has tried to throw it deep, didn't go so well. I mean, through 3 games, Notre Dame's longest passing play with Riley Leonard in the air, right? A completion in the air, not just a dump off and run, 20 yards. So just why have anyone deep? Well, I mean, like in coverage, I would just sit in like a very aggressive cover 3, or something, or
that's your
cover
go-to
1.
That's your go-to. Yeah, so we can throw against man because it's a clearer picture for Riley. That's why you've got all that pre-snap, pre-snap motion and all this with like a Eli Raridan in this game. And then it's easier for Denbrock to create these, Mikey mismatch situations.
Right.
But if you throw up a zone coverage in Riley Leonard and just kind of have people float, he gets lost. I think it might have been Horka too that posted it to like a throw chart.
Yeah,
I got that on Twitter today. And it's just like, it's like you put an eye patch on his left eye, Singer. I don't know if folks can see that. But it's like I've been tweeting about that, talking about that on both platforms, Patreon and here. It's like he's just got this bad habit of drifting out to his right. but is that because he has a true freshman left tackle? I mean, that's a fair question to ask, right? And he didn't play great this past weekend. So there's just a lot going on. And it's crazy because, yes, we did the game. I'll do the all-22 with Coach Clark. And Coach Clark, as an active state championship level high school football coach, he's like, great offense. We're moving the ball. We're scoring points. Like, coaches look at it different than fans do, right? As you like to say, Singer, this isn't a video game. Yeah. But it's like, okay, how is the offense evolving? It's interesting. He loves it. He loves to drift out to his right.
Yeah,
and then looking at formations, we'll have like trips to the field to his left, and then he rolls out to the single wide receiver side. And it's just problematic.
And looking at this passing chart, he has, 9 throws to his left through 3 games. Meanwhile, from 0 to 10 yards to his right, he's thrown 14 times alone. So he's definitely moving to his right. And he's thrown once deep between the numbers past 20 yards. And we all know what pass that was. So.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Hey, so crack investigative work by Tyler Horka, first of all. Shout out to Tyler, whoever, I think was this his?
Yeah, Horka's man.
Tweet. Yeah, so shout out to Tyler. But yeah, there's just something going on. But yeah, he can't throw against zone coverage. And then, like I said, the injury thing, like we're running them. And say what you want about Riley. Like his play style, he's absolutely fearless. And I think he made a quote post-game. He's like, I just put my faith in the Lord. And he's like, like whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Like he runs hard,
Yeah, I don't want it to come across like we're dogging Leonard. I think we're really just calling it a spade, like calling it a spade. He's attempted 4 balls through 3 games, 2.5 games. Okay, past 20 yards. Like we loved them after the A&M game, Mike. We're like, okay, maybe it was just like a scheme thing, like don't throw it downfield at all, which maybe we're still thinking that potentially, Mike. I don't know if that's a tinfoil hat thing or not, that it's like, hey, just don't throw the ball at all downfield. It's kind of what you talked about earlier. So can he, or is he told not to? I don't know, but love them against A&M because the dude just played with so much freaking heart and just ran so hard. He ran really well again on Saturday. 11 carries, 100 yards, 3 touchdowns. But the problem is the no vertical passing game and the injury risk with him running the ball so much already on. I mean,
and this is
through 5 quarters, he already got himself hurt,
Tim and I would always talk about Alabama will have 20, 30, 40 like analysts on staff, guys sleeping in the football office, guys like, sleeping 6 guys to an apartment. Like, they're just trying to be around college football, trying to catch their break. And it's like, so if the Tyler Horkas of the world can dig this stuff out in like 24 hours notice, like, a playoff level caliber team is going to scout us better than anybody, right? In terms of like all the resources they have at their disposal. So it's
Mike,
just it's a little problematic, man. Yeah. It's a little problematic. And then you can excuse away like the lack of spring ball, but again, it goes back to Freeman. You signed a guy without a physical. So like he's still trying to get caught up in the offense. So it leaves hope for like the continued development in him as a passer. But then when you really listen, you're like, I don't know if that's the plan. If we need to win a game, if we need to throw the ball to win a game, we'll game plan for it. It's like, that's not part of your game plan.
Louisville's going to do it. Like, I would assume Miami of Ohio will too. I don't know if they'll have the players to do it, or what that'll look like. But Louisville's going to be a tough team to beat.
It's crazy to me because if Riley can just by himself, believe, even take a sack, it's good exercise. Like hang in that pocket for another half a count. Hang in that pocket for step up in that pocket. Like when you feel. Take him out to the practice field and put up some drywall or put up a fence. Like he can't leave the pocket to like force him to stay in that pocket, because it's like just be a smidge more patient and it'll come. And I do think it'll come. But when I just listen to these guys talk, I'm like, I don't know if that's part of the plan.
Yeah.
Last thought, this just popped into my head. One of Steve's sacks that he took, there was like that overhang linebacker. He had like a big arm brace on his arm, like number 11 or something. Long, kind of outside linebacker looking guy. And he was a spy to Steve's right. And then Steve kind of looked. I think KK Smith actually fell on his route. He scrambled drill. He tried it, and then he fell. Steve had nowhere to go with the ball. Steve took a sack. That guy, that overhang guy, was a spy to the right. So typically you'd have a spy like over the ball, like a true middle linebacker. You feel me, Singer? It's like, no, we're just going to leave this outside linebacker hanging in the cut, waiting for Riley to roll out to his right to pull him up. And obviously they didn't change the game plan when they put in Steve down by 40 or whatever, right? You feel me?
I don't want to spend too much time on Steve unless you wanted to go there, because I don't think this game changed any thoughts on him. But just like I feel like with their two issues in the pocket, Leonard being he leaves it too soon, and Steve's being he doesn't get rid of the ball, to me, it feels like Steve's issue is a lot easier corrected than Leonard's. Like, just get rid of the ball seems like something easier to correct than a happy feet. That's you like that?
I don't necessarily agree, but I like the thought. So I think Steve's issue, and Tim Hyde would agree, is a processing thing. That's a mental clock processing thing, and you've kind of seen it. And then reports are Steve didn't even have a great week of practice this week, like processing. Whereas Riley processes like the wrong thing, and he just says to hell with it and puts his. So like Steve's is more of a mental thing to me, and Riley's thing is more of a habitual thing where he just has this habit of like, I'm pulling it down and running. So it's like, what's easier to stop, a physical habit or like a mental glitch? I don't know.
J Vitt and D Milton fan, thank you guys for the super chats. We got to talk about this guy, Mike.
Oh, yeah.
Kennedy Urlacher.
I will say this.
What do you think?
Dude. Tim will love this. You know who he reminded me of? Like in this game? Xavier Watts 2.5, 3 years ago. Like the certitude at which he comes downhill, and he comes downhill probably quicker. But you're like, okay, who's this kid? And just flashing in that alley. It's like, just go back and think about Xavier Watts a couple years ago. But yeah, looks really explosive, and he looks confident, which is like really kind of jumped out at me. Like the certainty at which he's moving. He's like, we always say slow till it's like process, and he's shot out of a cannon. But he's one of a handful of young kids. I want to talk O-line too. But I mean, on the defensive side of the ball, like you could run through the list. Singer, Traore is a dude. And like Jordan Botelho, you know how I feel about Jordan Botelho. Just sucks, man.
Yeah.
It's like the type of kids like, prayers up for Jordan, man, because like he was playing his what off, and he probably deserves better.
You can say ass, Mike. I'll allow it.
I'm sorry?
He was playing his ass off. You can say ass. I'll
playing his ass off. And it's like, good for him, So that stinks.
Yeah.
But the flip side of that is like, okay, you get to see more Traore. And then, with Burnham being dinged up now, and it's just like, man, you might see a couple warts throughout the course of the season, but play Bryce Young and play Traore. Play Bryce Young at strong end and play. I mean, I'm telling you, when I talked to Bryce's father, obviously Hall of Famer at the spring thing, I'm like, he's a 3-year player, right? He's like, you think? I'm like, oh yeah, he should leave, dude. I mean, if his career and his development goes like he's been a rocket ship. Think about him since his sophomore year of high school, like exponentially better year over year over year. So those two look amazing. And you can really see with Traore in particular, like his length as a pass rusher. I even thought Logan Thomas looked good. I could absolutely see him growing into being a nice Viper. But yeah, Kennedy Urlacher is probably the star of the day. One guy I wanted to give a legitimate shout out to, and again, I hadn't heard anybody as I look up the roster because I don't want to screw up the young man's name. How about your boy Max Hurlman, number 37, that punt returner back there?
Is it like a Colgate transfer or something?
I don't know where he's from. But number 37, he's a corner. He's like a graduate senior. There might be something there in the return game because that kid's feisty as a returner.
Yeah, Colgate. I don't know how I pulled that out of my ass.
God bless Max, man. So it's like you could see him being a little fire plug. Like, I mean, he looked really good as a returner, like dogged determination. So that was really neat.
And shout out Max Hurlman. Hurlman. Shut him out.
Yeah. Love to see him out there. I mean, that was he made a couple actually nice, like really aggressive, confident, very intense punt returns. It was just kind of different. I don't think I'm missing anybody on the defensive side of the ball. And that was what was fun about that second half. Osbury continues to flash. It kind of seems like they like Kaiser and Osbury. That's kind of the combination that they've been going with most. And I haven't seen the snap counts, but that's what it feels like.
Real quick, we got Pilney $20 super chat. Thank you, Pilney. Says can develop a quarterback halfway through the season on the fly. He is who he is. Maximize his strengths and run them. Stop trying to develop them. Not in 1 year. Just when baby develop the quarterbacks who are not one and done players. Pilney, thank you.
I want to give Pilney a little bit of merit because I had a similar thought actually on this guy's trip. But it was like, yeah, why not just run Riley into the ground? Just like run him into the ground, and then if he gets hurt, we take it from there. I don't necessarily disagree with that.
I did a call-in show earlier this week, and a kid mentioned that, and I didn't think about that either. It's like, I mean, if he gets hurt, he gets hurt. Whatever. You got Steve. It's like, okay. Now these snap, I got this on the screen for YouTube audience. I'll read it out for podcast, but this is a little skewed because of the second half. Like Snead was more of he was playing in the fourth quarter. So he played
more
a lot.
Inside. Yeah, they were trying to, again, get him reps as an inside backer.
So of the linebackers, Snead had 27, Kingston 24, and then Kaiser 21, Bowen 20, Osbury 20. So I think this was your three that played the most in the first half, Kaiser, Bowen, Osbury.
Yeah, I'm just saying in terms of like young kids that Osbury finds the ball. And even for being undersized, there's many times, and I'll highlight this on Patreon, for being a 6 foot tall, 220-pound kid, like he's standing up these second level blockers and throwing off. It's very impressive. He's a really good player. Real quick, Mike, before we move on, we want to hear from our sponsor over at Home Field Apparel, and I am rocking my Home Field. You guys know I love my my Notre Dame tennis sweatshirt. College football is in full swing, and with Notre Dame hoping, keyword hoping, to make a run to the college football playoff, you're going to want to make sure that you're geared up as best as possible, which is where we meet today's sponsor, which is, of course, Home Field, a premium collegiate apparel brand based in Indianapolis. There's the Notre Dame tennis crew neck. All three reviews were left by me. I'm just joking. Maybe I left one review. But otherwise, I know Goolsby loves his Sam Hartman shirt. And yeah, you get brand new clothing with a retro look without the retro tears or smells. Home Field's always rolling out new clothing items as well, including a really unique coach's jacket, which is this one here at the top. You also got the platinum football box, just different, boxes between that one and just the regular football box, where you can get geared up for all season long. Clothes fit great, folks. Very comfortable. Highly recommend you head over to homefieldapparel.com to check out the entire Notre Dame line, which folks on YouTube are seeing on your screen. And if you have friends that are fans of another school, family members, whatever the case may be, Home Field has licensed clothing for over 180 colleges. So use the code BGI. That's good for your 15% off your first order at Home Field. Again, folks, code BGI, 15% off your first order at Home Field. The holidays will be here before you know it, so buy yourself some stuff, do some Christmas shopping early, and do it at Home Field Apparel.
BlueandGold.com. Check out Home Field and gear up for this football season. Pilney drops another 20 bomb. Ghouls, what's up?
I was just going to say, home field fits true to size. It's a generous fit. It's always important, right? You're going to drop $40 on a t-shirt. You want to make sure it fits correctly. Doesn't shrink. It's like I'm watching you scroll, brother, and I'm like, if I won like a nice scratch-off ticket, I'd buy literally every single one of those shirts. You know what I'm saying?
I like that, Mike.
Anyways.
It is sick. It is sick. I mean, look at this, guys. You can even get your woman geared up in some Notre Dame. I mean, come on. Let's go. Pilney, appreciate another 20 bomb. He says, Marcus Freeman needs to give Denbrock the keys to the offense and be quiet. He's already done that. He's already done that. I promise. Like, Freeman is not really involved in the offense. So Freeman's NIU game plan was to develop a quarterback passing game for how that work out. Yeah, I mean, Freeman pretty much gives, and he's done that with his past offensive coordinators too. He's on his third in as many years as head coach in South Bend, and yeah, that's he lets the OC kind of run the offense. He's not involved, and that just like an offensive head coach is not super involved on defense. But I think Freeman, it might be even more so.
Well, to be fair, yeah, I mean, again, if you listen to Freeman talk about offense, he doesn't necessarily understand it. I don't know if he's interested in it. So he's not saying to Denbrock, call X play on X situation.
Right.
But I think philosophically, he absolutely has an influence.
Yeah, sure.
In terms of what you're going to do. But then that brings you back to how we opened up the show with Leonard in his post-game press conference. Like, yeah, if coach calls that, I'm just running it.
So let's take stock of this team currently, Mr. Goolsby.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know we're already a quarter way through the regular season?
Hey, man, taking stock was kind of my idea for the show. Exactly. We're a quarter of the way into the season. What do we know? What are we optimistic about? What are we fearful of? I don't know. O-line. Let's start with the O-line.
Rocco C, appreciate the $10 super chat. I don't know if you had a comment, but Rocco, appreciate you, sir. All right, yeah, O-line. Well, I guess we didn't even touch on that with the injury. You touched on the Patello. So Schrouth is out from anywhere between Louisville game, if they somehow get him ready for Louisville, or like late in October. And then Craig is out for the season. So you got Coogan, who I think Mike took 3 snaps at center in 2022. And then obviously came in on Saturday, and then Spindler's back, who started 10 games for the Irish last year. So just, yeah, taking stock of the O-line, that's specifically with these injuries in mind and their replacements.
Going into the season, what position group were we most worried about?
O-line.
So it's like now you've got, we liked Craig a lot. You love Schrouth was the best player. I mean, Tim's got him on an All-American kind of watch list type deal, which I agree with. So
maybe not anymore.
Maybe not anymore. Freeman was asked that during the presser about something about O-line, and he said, I hope center is Coogan's best position. It's like some of the stuff, it's like, come on, coach. But he's like, I hope it is. So he didn't seem super optimistic. You know, I've never really been a fan of Rocco. One thing, get into this on the All-22, Denbrock likes a little bit of misdirection, right? Counter, etc. Kind of talked about that in the preseason. Rocco don't look great pulling, brother. He's more of like a duo, double team type of guy, just the way God made him. He doesn't look great pulling.
Can you explain duo to our listeners? Because Tim talks about duo all the time. Can you explain the duo, what that means?
Yeah, generally speaking, then we actually just went over this. I hate to keep mentioning Patreon, but like 2 weeks ago. So it's like if you've got a nose tackle between the center and guard, we're going to double that guy. And depending on what that defensive player does, we're going to leave to climb to the second level, which would be a linebacker. If you've got a 3 technique, you know, the guard tackle are going to double. One of us is going to have our eyes up. And Jared Clark did an amazing job. He loves inside zone, which is all duo. But it's like we're going to double. One of us has our eyes in the backer. And then and that's when you talk about that synchronicity and the offensive line having to gel, that's like a feel thing as much as it is like a read thing. So was that a decent explanation, Mike?
So is it multiple? It's like is there just one double team block happening? Is there two?
Oh,
Or
it
is
depends
it
on the given
okay.
snap. So if it's like
Okay.
inside zone, and as Jared, and I never pretended to be an O-line guru, but as Jared was explaining, it's like depending on where he called it the bubble in the front is. So like if they've got a 3 technique to our strength, like that's where the back is reading that bubble versus inside zone versus mid zone versus outside zone. That's why you got to watch the all 22. But generally speaking, I'm not going to break out a whiteboard. It's like we're doubling the down guy and we're going to climb to the second level.
Gotcha. Cool.
Duo. So you can imagine a big thumper like a Rocco Singer. You know, he's just going to lean on you. What is he, 320? You know what I'm saying?
I can remember like it was yesterday when he committed to the Irish. And or maybe it was when we committed. Well, I can't remember what the timing was, but I remember doing recruiting videos with you, and it was very much you were not a fan of him moving. You were just like, he's just a big guy who just kind of pushes people. And that's what he did. I remember you, and this still 4 years later, Mike, still talking about the same thing.
I just don't believe that you can develop quick twitch stuff. I just don't believe you can. Rocco Spindler, Singer, not a thin ankle guy, by the way. Not a thin ankle guy, just to be clear. So that's going to be something that Denbrock's going to have to contend with because there were several polls, I want to say third quarter-ish against Purdue, where it's like Rocco was slow getting out there and he's having to adjust on the fly and he doesn't touch anybody, but he's kind of like generally in the way. And then I've always been worried about Rocco and Coogan in particular, athletically mirroring, staying in front of talented, like twitchy guys.
Sorry,
go ahead.
I was just going to say when Pendleton got the nod as a starter, I had been told that Pendleton was just so damn strong, and that he had that just like country boy strength that I just don't think Coogan has compared to Pendleton. Because right, Spindler was the right guard last year, right, and Coogan was left. Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, that sounds right.
So, Pendleton just a beast, and he's having a strong year.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, but you got to have foot speed in order to stay in front of people. So remember, Singer, 20 minutes ago, we were talking about if you could just Riley slow down, just give it another half a count, slide up in that pocket, stop drifting to the right, and now you have 2 lesser athletes at center and right guard. You know, and like I said, I've seen it on film where Coogan has gotten knocked on his tush, bull rushed, back to the lack of power you're talking about with a Pendleton to anchor. And then Rocco has the power to anchor, but he can't stay in front of you. You know, you give him like an in and out with some hands or whatever, and you're by him. So that's a problem for the offense.
So you have a quarterback who may not be very durable, can't throw down the field for whatever reason, receivers who continues to be inconsistent. Shame on me.
I want to be clear, though.
We got Jeremiah Love, great running backs, and some great tight ends. But otherwise, you're pretty nervous about the offense, Mike?
So far, I'm not. And again, the all-22 is so enlightening because you can see people running open.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, again, Riley, you got to hang in there and be a quarterback. You got to hang in there, brother, you know. But I'm telling you, if he can't slide up in the pocket, you're just going to continue to see him drift and run, right? And he doesn't keep his eyes downfield, and he's not that accurate to begin with. And on the run, when you're like, okay, scramble, but keep your eyes downfield, he's not accurate at all. But no, I'm not putting a lot of this on the wide receivers. I'm really not. And I give you your roses for your Bo Collins prediction. I mean, he looks great.
Yeah. 2 receptions for 9 yards.
Stud.
Was he the one that was wide open down the field, or was that J Love on the one that's gone viral? You know what I'm talking about. That was Love.
Yeah.
Some were 21 personnel, right? Maybe you tweeting about that.
It was only like 3 snaps, but it looked good early. And you saw 11 personnel, you saw 12, you saw 21, and it was balanced, like run pass between those when you break it down. But it was just nice because it's like, boy, for a couple of years, you're like, what if you took those 2 stud running backs and you put them on the field at the same time? So I don't know, but O-line, it was a weak spot to start the season. Did we get better? Did we get worse? You know, you've got your experienced guys back, but like a game like a Louisville, it does make me nervous just because you know they've got athletes.
KK Smith played the most snaps of any wide receiver in the game. Again, that's because he played a ton in the second half, but 43. What did you think about KK in his first extended action for the Irish? What were his stats?
Super optimistic. I tweeted something earlier today, just in my
2
little
for 13.
my little crystal ball. I'm like, it seems like they're really trying to work him in and like get him kind of lubed up. And I'm just like, I could easily see the first deep ball where we all go, yes, finally, hallelujah, him catching it. I could just see it, you know, because you've seen Bo get loose a couple times. It just depends probably on the formation where it's like you'd want to put, and people think football's so complicated. It's like a lot of times you see KK obviously to the field, but it's like, can we somehow flip-flop him into the boundary where he's actually the deep guy, or motion him into the boundary or something?
Yeah, when you're in the boundary, it's a shorter throw for
him, you know, with his vision.
A shorter throw for Riley when he's in the boundary.
Go ahead, Singer. What do you got?
You haven't called me this in a while, but I keep calling it myself. My eternal optimist line, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Your line. You haven't said it in a while, but I say it for you. I am not optimistic at all about this offense. I'm very nervous. It's like a show me, right? And you just said football, you know, sometimes it's not that complicated. Pilney, thank you for another super chat. But like one of these teams, again, that they're going to play soon, is they're going to Notre Dame's going to get hit in the mouth. They're going to struggle to run the ball. They're going to take away to the short passing. You're going to need to push the ball down the field. Can Notre Dame do it? You get like running with Riley's had so much success, but can he stay healthy? I feel like I'm a broken record. I've been doing shows, you know, hourly. It feels like just talking about the same thing, but I'm just nervous, Mike. Do you want to talk me off the ledge, or do you want to push me over?
No, I think and again, you said something earlier. You don't want to be critical of Riley or whatever. I think we're taking a very just objective approach here.
I think we are.
Again, you're coming off a 66-point outing, and somehow we still feel nervous about it. Probably, Singer, because it's like we've been here before, and there's a lot of Groundhog Day-ish things. This is how it just kind of feels. So nervous is a little strong.
Is it?
Here's my thing. If you get in one of these games where you do get punched in the mouth and it's tense as a fan watching on our couches, you just got to hope and pray to be like, okay, like that NIU thing, we're not going to try to we're not going to forget that we got Jeremiah Love on the team. Like we somehow did in that NIU game, like we somehow did last year with Audric Estime. And Jeremiah Love, I think, is honest to God, goodness, talented enough where it's like, I don't even think he really needs great. Like he was toying with Purdue on some of those runs. He was toying with them. He doesn't need it to be blocked up like perfect. He's a talented enough back. Like the guys that we draft on our fantasy teams, he can make something happen, you know? So I'm not like super nervous, but I am like objectively like the offensive line thing makes me a little nervous because we've seen our offensive line get whooped before.
Defensively, though,
I've seen these 2 new starters in particular get whooped before.
Defensively, though, 7. I mean, I know that they struggled against NIU, but the bottom line of 7 points, 16 points, and 13 points, pretty solid through 3 games. So what's taking stock of the defense for you, Mike?
Well, it's nuance, right? Nuance is everything. So would you give up 16 to NIU, but you couldn't get off the field when it mattered most? When your team, the whole team, and all of us fans watching at home, when we needed you to get a stop, you couldn't do it. So my big takeaway on the defense is love Al Golden, love his scheme, but if you can get 3 yards on first down and you can get 4 yards on second down, Al Golden handcuffs himself because his whole thing is designed to get you in third and long, and it's like lights out. But that is the scheme. So it's like, how do you beat if we're playing Notre Dame on defense, right? So we're Miami of Ohio on defense. How do I stop Riley Leonard? I play short zone coverage. I load the box. Sound familiar? Sound familiar? Jeez. And then defensively, how do you if I'm an offensive coordinator going up against Al Golden, I run the ball. I run the ball. I mean, shit, I'd have checks. It's like, okay, 41's in, Heinisch is in, love them. But it's like, we're going to double, we're going to run duo at Heinisch. There's nothing we could do. 4 yards. Okay, 3rd and 2, guess what? Another run.
From what you've seen these first 3 games, what is like the outlook for you the rest of the season? Like what would you anticipate this regular season record being? Do you think they still have a shot at the playoff? Like, what do you think?
Answer that, dude.
You're not?
One game at a time.
You're not a player anymore, Mike. You're a media analyst.
Nope. I'm a player. See my jerseys? I'm a player, man. One game at a time.
Put it on.
I don't think they'd fit. That one would. But no, that one hardly fit when I was playing. So, yeah, one game at a time.
All right.
But, yes, you do want to see at some point you have to uncork a successful long ball. You have to. Why didn't Jaden Greathouse play this game? Like, he did play.
Very strange.
Not much.
I really need my own my tinfoil hat, Mike.
What do you think, brother? Do you think it has to do with that drop the week prior?
Let me give you 2 tinfoil hat things. One, that is one of them. Is he in the doghouse because of that drop? Now, I don't know how many snaps he played last week after the drop. So maybe that could be disproven if he just played a ton after the drop. I don't know. My second one.
We're on the same page. Before you say it, can I say it? Can I guess what you're going to say? No, you say it.
No, I want you to guess it.
I don't want to steal your thunder. We'll say it at the same time. One. Okay. So I'm going to say, okay. Is it something he's doing? Like consciously he's pissed. Like, is he checking out because of the offense?
No, my second tinfoil hat thing has nothing to do with Greathouse.
Fair enough. Go ahead. I was wrong.
Did they pull Leonard at halftime really because they were just protecting him? Not because they wanted to get Steve so much more all this playing time. Did they pull Leonard at halftime because, like, why even put him in any situations where he can get hit? Like, let's just pull him and play Steve.
But we're talking about Greathouse. The answer is yes, of course. That's what you do when you're up by 100. You take your starter out.
Yeah, but they played other guys. They played other starters. Pendleton played 70 snaps. So, yeah, they pulled it because he was 42-0. Yeah, but they played a lot of other starters continuing on in the second half. But why not Leonard? I think it's specifically because, he's the labrum. I think it's because of the labrum.
And you don't have, and if you have it, I'm not asking you to share it, but we don't share it. If you know, but we don't have concrete. It's like, okay, you guys had reported that he had an MRI done in his non-throwing arm. And I played my whole junior year with a torn labrum as an inside linebacker, tore it in training camp. It's like, if I can do it as a linebacker, you can do it as a quarterback. It's just going to hurt, especially if it's already torn, like how he kind of landed. Remember when he got slung down? It's not going to get worse. It's already torn. It just hurts.
So it can't get torn worse. Like it can't be a worse tear.
If it's torn, it's torn.
It's torn. Okay.
So anything where it gets like out here or like, you get like that impingement, like us old guys, like you get impingement in your shoulder, but no, it ain't going to get any worse.
See, like this whole thing, of course you're going to pull a starting quarterback. It's 42-0 at halftime. Guys, there have been so many games in the past at Notre Dame where the quarterback, it's like you're thinking to yourself, why the hell have they not pulled the quarterback? I'm telling you guys are acting like Notre Dame's always pulls the quarterback this early. They don't. I'm telling you, they don't.
I predicted they would too, by the way. I think I called into John's show. I said they were going to pull him at halftime. But this isn't the reason why, because we're up 42-0.
So you're on the same page with me.
I thought he was going to play so poorly that he might get pulled. But that's like, 2 days after NIU, and that wound was still very fresh.
I posted on the message board some intel, and there's two things on there that I want to share. One of them was that Notre Dame's going to get really creative in the short passing game, because I had been told that they were working on it like crazy, which they did. And the second thing was that I was like, don't be surprised if we see Steve Angeli. Just telling you guys, don't be surprised. I was told that, they're prepping him in case he was going to play. Yeah, he played, but didn't expect it like that, Mike. Did not expect it like that.
Yeah.
So
I like it. I like it. You can make this.
I need to.
I promise you can make it. It took me all of 12 seconds, right? I don't even think I used a mirror, clearly. So I think the long ball is going to get uncorked here sooner or later. It'll probably be on a double move. It'll probably be on a double move when you really think about this short passing game. But no, I'm thinking, did Greathouse, his lack of play, you're saying, I asked you about that and you kind of segued into talking.
Yeah.
Are you kind of looking at he and Riley Leonard as like a package deal? If Riley gets pulled out, they're going to pull out Greathouse?
That wasn't my line of thinking.
Well, my tinfoil hat is he like a little bit upset about this offense? It'll never not be funny, right? Is he a little bit upset about this offense? Because he was like all offseason, it was like he gave you as far as the wide receiver room, he was the man. And then the last we saw him, he dropped a perfect, beautiful ball by Riley Leonard, and it's like then he doesn't play at all. I mean, he played 9 snaps or something.
Yeah, 12. Only Matt Jeffrey had less snaps than Greathouse on Saturday.
I gotta wrap this up.
Yeah.
The only other thought I had, and just again watching these young kids play, Micah Gilbert looks incredible. You got to watch a little bit more tape to see what he looked like running, but just to look at the young man, it's like, holy smokes. Yep. Beautiful looking athlete. Gerby Lambert looked better than I thought he would look.
Kenny?
And Gerby, go ahead.
Kenny?
Let me keep on my thought. Yeah, we'll close that out on why not Kenny. Gerby Lambert looked really good, and he's like, and Tim will appreciate this. We've been talking about it for years. Like, he looks like an SEC lineman. Forget skin color. I mean, he his body type and all of that. He really looks like the type of guys you've been clamoring for. As good as Joe Alt is and will continue to be, he didn't look like an SEC lineman just in terms of his build, his girth and all that. And Sullivan Absher really impressed me. And if you want to talk about O-line you in a room full of just ass kickers, don't be bogarting my tagline, Mark. Sullivan Absher is an ass kicker. His play style, and I'm sure he probably still needs work in pass protection. I remember his high school film, but he wants to hurt you out there. He wants to hurt you. And then Kenny, I thought Kenny looked great.
He did.
You did too. We all do. Now you're starting to bubble up. You can feel it. Starting to bubble up, Singer. But most talented quarterback in the room is my opinion. CJ Carr knows how to play quarterback. He's more clinical, to be expected. He was watching film in the womb. Kenny Minchie a little bit more raw, but in terms of gifts, talent, that's just my opinion. You look good.
We're going to end the show there. Pilney, thank you for the super chat. Said trust the running game. If they had just handed the ball to Love and Price and only ran Riley Leonard against NA, it's an easy win. Pound the ball, pay the price, show me the love. Run Riley like a mule. Angeli is one Riley.
Pilney would go call plays for less than $2 million, I promise you. But it's who could argue with the super chat? It's so obvious it hurts.
All right, we are going to end the show there. If you're just joining us recently, rewind, watch it from the beginning. Great stuff as always from our former Notre Dame linebacker and captain, Mike Goolsby. Again, folks, appreciate you all for watching or listening. Make sure you subscribe to this Blue and Gold YouTube channel. Review our podcast if you like it. Follow Mike at Mike Goolsby41 on Twitter. Check out his Patreon in the bio of his Twitter account. Appreciate you guys as always, and we'll catch you next time.